Today we're going to make a veggie stir fry. We're going to pair it with lo mein at the end. So to start, what we're going to do is take a tablespoon of cornstarch. What we're going to do is mix all of the aromatics, the garlic, the ginger that's in this, in with the cornstarch and some oil. I have 3 large crushed cloves of garlic that I'm going to put in. You can be as liberal as you like with the garlic. I like a lot of garlic in mine. And here I have 6 tablespoons of chopped fresh ginger that I have peeled. So I'm going to use half of this and the other half goes in at the end. So what you end up getting is a layering of ginger flavor. You have the cooked ginger flavor in the beginning and then the other ginger goes in at the end and you get this nice fresh ginger flavor also. So to this we're going to add 4 tablespoons of vegetable oil or canola oil, whatever you have. But you want a neutral oil that has a high smoke point. So that means it can get very hot and it doesn't have its own flavor like olive oil or sesame oil. It is just its own, it's just a bland oil. All right, so we'll mix that up. You can see it sort of formed a loose paste with the oil and the ginger and the garlic. So to this, we are going to add a bunch of veggies because this is a veggie stir fry. So I have 1 small head of broccoli. I have 1 small zucchini cut in half lengthwise and then cut into half moons. I have some carrots that are cut into little matchsticks and then about half a cup of snow peas. These are actually sugar snap peas cut up into pieces, and we're going to pop them in here. And then we're just going to stir everything to combine. We want to coat all these vegetables with that oil. And what's going to happen is the cornstarch that's in that oil mix is going to help thicken our sauce at the very end when we add soy sauce. So you can see it's just coated. You can always add a little bit more oil if you feel like you need it, but we are adding more oil shortly to our wok. So that's what it looks like. We're going to set that aside for the next step, which is to heat our wok. Okay, so I have a wok here. I'm going to put it over high heat. Normally with woks you want to cook on a nice high heat, and what's nice about a wok is that the heat carries all the way up the side, and so the bottom stays very hot and you get zones of heat around the side as the heat travels up it. So you can sort of push things to the side when you cook in a wok. So if you don't want it overcooking, you can push things over. So to this, once it's nice and warm, we are going to add 4 more tablespoons of oil. So now I've turned my heat down to medium. The pan has gotten nice and hot. I can splash a little water in there. You can hear it sizzle. So what we're going to do is take our veggies. Actually, we're going to put 4 tablespoons of vegetable oil in there. I'm eyeballing a little bit here. We're just going to, woks are pretty heavy, so you might need 2 hands. Alright, so we got our oil nice and hot, and you can see it's moving around a lot like water, which is what you want to look for here. So we're going to take all our veggies that are coated in cornstarch and oil and garlic and ginger, and we're going to add it right in. You want to hear it sizzle like that. And I'm going to use a spatula to get all that goodness out of there. All that time mincing ginger, I don't want to leave it in the bowl. Okay. And then with a metal spoon or spatula, you're going to stir it around until the vegetables start to become tender crisp. Tender crisp means that it's sort of like the al dente of vegetables. They still have a little snap to them, little bite, but they're not raw, but they're not overcooked and mushy. Okay, so we're going to let that cook. You're going to stir pretty frequently. You don't want the bottom layer to burn. And what we're going to be looking for is for some of the vegetables to start to wilt down just a little bit. And then we'll be adding soy sauce, water, onion, and the rest of the ginger. Okay? So our vegetables have been cooking over medium-high heat. You can see some of the ginger starting to cook on the bottom. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to add some soy sauce. It really depends how much you want. This is 6 tablespoons. I'm going to add almost all of it. I'm going to add 2.5 tablespoons of water. And that's going to mix in with the cornstarch that's coating all of these veggies. And it's going to help create a thick sauce. All right, we're also going to pull this back. We're going to add 1/4 cup of chopped onion and the rest of our ginger. And then we're going to stir it up, and you can always add more soy sauce. Trying to heat up a little bit. All right, and then you're going to cook everything until the veggies are tender crisp. And then we'll serve it. We'll put all our cooked lo mein noodles in with this at the end. One other thing I like to add to my stir fries is Ponzu sauce. So it's a soy sauce that has sugar added to it and some citrus seasonings. It's super tasty. It gives it a little bit of a sweetness that you might not get otherwise. So just a dash of that in there. So what I want you to realize about this stir fry is I had everything prepped and ready to go before I started cooking. And that is because stir fries happen very quickly. Okay, this has not been very long. It's been maybe 10 minutes since I started cooking. So you don't want to have everything started in here and then realize you need to go cook something else or cut up something else. You want to have everything ready to go so that it just goes one step after another. So that's where mise en place, or everything in its place, really comes into play here. You really want to make sure that all of your stuff is ready to go right into the pan. Okay? So there we have our all veggie stir fry. You can get creative with whatever vegetables you have in your kitchen that will work. I've used frozen edamame in the past. That's really nice in place of the snow peas if you can't find them. Whatever you've got going on. You got some mushrooms you need to use up, throw them in there. Just get it all cooking. And then at the end, you're going to add cooked lo mein noodles. You can certainly serve this over rice too, but everyone likes lo mein. So you just toss it through, sort of let it finish cooking with the lo mein noodles in there so they start to absorb some of that liquid, that sauce. Oop, it's all stuck on there. I'm actually going to use tongs for the rest of it. There you go. If you had scallions, you could certainly cut some up here and toss them in at the very end to give it a really nice bright note. Once you have the noodles in the pan though, you definitely want to turn off the heat so they don't stick to the bottom. And the last thing I'm going to add is just a touch of sesame oil. And if you wanted to make this a little spicy, you could always add a little bit of red pepper flake. Okay, so we've got sesame oil, and this is very strong, so you only want to add a little bit, and you don't want to cook with sesame oil because it has a high smoke point, and we don't want that burning in our stir fry. So there we go, guys. All veggie stir fry. You could certainly add other proteins to this, like tofu or chicken, shrimp, thinly sliced steak. We'll get to that later in our lessons, but for now, there you go. Veggie stir fry.